A well-known rancher out in Cochise, Arizona, in the rural northern part of the county, died recently, and his property went to his heirs. And as a result of all the probate fallout, his wife has just recently been convicted of a felony probate fraud. Terry Jo Neff is covering the story for us. Terry Jo, can you catch us up a little bit on what happened?
Sure. So a very well-known, popular rancher, Andy Clyne, died 2021. And just before he died, his family realized he didn't have a will. So several family members got together with him in December of 2020. They came up with a will. The will was very generous. It left his wife 40% of his ranch operation, his 2 children 20% each, and his stepson, who he was very close to, was going to get 20%. And we're talking a ranch operation, Matt, that was valued at well over $1 million. 600 acres, an active cattle ranch. Unfortunately, a document got put into the probate case after about a year, and this document claimed that actually Mr. Clyne had signed over everything to his wife, cutting out his children, cutting out his stepson. It's taken all of this time, 4 years after he passed away. We now have her convicted of providing a forged document as part of a probate case. She has been hit with not only, I think it's $2.1 million in damages due to the effect of what she did with the probate case. She's now going to have a criminal felony conviction. The big part is here, Matt, she has lost everything. Because of her conduct, an outside law firm came in, really took a good look at the family's financials and some of the paperwork, and discovered that Mr. Clyne himself didn't actually personally own the ranch. It was owned by a trust set up by his mother years before. As a result of that, the trust documents took effect, not the will that the family was fine with. The trust documents, the only 2 people who inherited as a result of that were his 2 adult children.
So if she had done nothing, she still stood to receive, what, 40% of it?
40%, over $400,000 tax-free. She'd still be probably, living on the ranch possibly, maybe even operating it. Her son would have received about $200,000, but because of the greed, because of her belief that she didn't want to see any of the property going to the adult children, her adult stepchildren. She did all of this. She ended up losing everything.
So I still don't understand why she doesn't get the $400,000, because in spite of her conduct, that was still the will of the decedent.
Right. Everybody thought the will was valid. Everyone was there when he signed it. It was reviewed in front of the entire family. The problem is the will was negated by the fact that the property, the ranch itself, was owned by a trust, a separate legal entity. It was not owned by Mr. Clyne himself, so it was not part of his estate.
So the will was never valid.
It would be valid for things that he owned,
right.
Maybe personal items, things like that. But all of the machinery, the land, 600 acres of prime land out in the Cochise area, all of that was owned by the legal entity of the trust. That was all discovered by an attorney who started to question this document that Ms. Clyne presented to the court.
Yeah, really fascinating story. You definitely want to read Terry Jo's full story about this. It's a long one, but it's a good one. Really interesting case, and it creates a whole bunch of what ifs as probate fraud typically does. So is she looking at any, on top of all this sort of financial ruin, is she looking at any prison time?
Not prison, but jail. So she will end up serving between 60 days and 365 days when she is sentenced next month. In the meantime, she's going to owe all of this money as a result of her conduct, which of course, since she didn't inherit anything, she has nothing. But for the family, for the part of the family that knew there was no way that Andy Clyne would have signed over everything, to his second wife, it's, they've been reassured through the court system that the truth finally came out and she's held accountable.
Boy, just a cautionary tale about greed, I suppose.
Absolutely.
And family dramas and all that we see play out on TV all the time. Well, Terry Jo, fantastic story. Read about it on myheraldreview.com. And you've been watching The Explainer. Have a great day.